What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we're going to be having a little bit of a look at a brand new battle card that is very much designed for Dinobots. And any of you that have been paying attention to this channel as I've been covering the Transformers TCG will know I am a big fan of Dinobots. So, it's quite nice to have this, although I should, of course, make sure to say that when we're talking Dinobots, we are talking the Wave 1 Dinobots, as well as the Wave 2 Dinobots that make up Volcanicus. I did do a video about Volcanicus, not Volcanius, Volcanicus, and I will make sure to drop a link to that one in the description. But what does it actually do? Well, it's an upgrade armor. And we don't usually think about armor when we think about Dinobots. We think about aggressive decks. More on that in a moment. And certainly it does have an orange pip, which would lead it towards being a more aggressive deck. But it also gives you +1 defense because it's an armor. But it's Dinobots. It can only be put on Dinobots. It's Dinobots. And when the upgraded character defends and you flip at least 2 orange icons, you do 1 damage to the attacker. Yeah, this sounds like a Dinobot kind of upgrade. Because you see, most Dinobot decks tend to go fairly aggressive. If we look at the Wave 1 Grimlock, when you flip to alt mode, one of your Dinobots gets bold 3. That's fairly aggressive. And then, of course, we've got the action card Dino Chomp, which gives you bold 5. And the upgrade Jaws of Steel, which gives you bold 2. And then, of course, it's the same as Flamethrower. But the thing is, Flamethrower gives you bold 2 in your weapon slot, Jaws of Steel gives you bold 2 in your utility slot, and what's really nice here is that does of course leave a space for electrified spikes, which is kinda cool. But we're going bold and aggressive and orange in most of our Dinobot decks. That is not to say that that is the only way to play them. There are plenty of different ways to play Dinobots, but the fact that most Dinobot support tends to focus on bold, and Grimlock's got a fairly good attack in bot mode from which it will usually be attacking, generally leads us to going aggressive. It's not the only way, but it is the way we generally tend to go. And we can also look at Dinobot Enigma here. That is the action card that lets you actually get Volcanicus out, and that, once you've got Volcanicus out, gives it bold 2. So, more proof here that we tend to be going fairly aggressive. I mean, if we have a look at Volcanicus itself, we see that it's got a defense of 0, not good, but an attack of 6, which is good. And when you attack, on the turn you're fully combined, for each battle card you flip that has at least 1 orange icon, you do 1 damage to the defender. All this goes to say that Dinobots tend to be fairly aggressive. But actually, this really fits with a theme of an aggressive deck. Now, it gives you +1 armor. Think of that like a handy bonus and a little bit of armor that you wouldn't usually have. But the orange pip's helping with attacking, and if you flip at least 2 orange icons, you do 1 damage to the attacker. Now, Dinobots, as we've seen, are generally playing orange icons. And if you go majority orange icons with a few white, you can expect to hit the double orange icon. Now, I'm not going to get into the maths like Vector Sigma does. They are extremely good at that. But what I am going to say is that you're generally flipping 2 battle cards when you defend. So, if you hit both orange, you're fine. Now, if you can hit a double orange like Peace Through Tyranny, that will do it in one go. But if you hit 2 orange, you're fine. You'll generally be playing some cards that have white icons. Think something like Force Field. And that's quite nice, because a white icon will allow you to flip an extra 2 battle cards while defending. Now, you're not going to be playing tough here, so generally speaking, you are only flipping 2 cards when you defend. But you should be playing just orange and white icons, so you should generally either be flipping 2, and they should both be orange, or you're flipping 4, and as long as 2 of them are white and no more, you should be getting this. So I'm not saying you'll get this every single time, but I am saying if you're playing an aggressive orange-focused Dinobot deck, you should be expecting to hit this. Electrified Spikes itself has an orange pip, Jaws of Steel has an orange pip, Flamethrower has an orange pip, Dino Chomp has a blue pip. That is the one fly in the ointment. I say one, Predacon Enigma would also count here with its green pip. So it ain't perfect. you're not going to be going 100% orange, but with mostly orange, couple of Dino Chomp, couple of Enigma. If you're playing Volcanicus, obviously if you're playing the Wave 1 Dinobots, which it looks like may well be better, then no, you're probably not going to be playing Dinobot Enigma. That would be somewhat of a waste. And look, you can build this with mostly orange, couple of white, some Dino Chomp, and just cross your fingers. I've seen some Dinobot lists which aren't playing Snarl, which actually take away from Dino Chomp. Now, the reason you want to play Snarl is that Dino Chomp makes you empty your hand. It makes you scrap your entire hand, but when you flip Snarl into alt mode, you get to draw 2 cards. Although, not to be beaten here, if we look at the Wave 2 Dinobots, we've got what is potentially a better option in terms of drawing, because we've got Dinobot Sludge. When you attack, not flip, and you've got fewer cards in hand, you draw 2 cards. So you get it on an attack rather than a flip, but you've got to have fewer cards in hand, not 0. I like Dinobot Sludge, incidentally. There's going to be a video in a couple of days when we got through these new battle cards, looking at whether the new Sludge is better than the old Sludge, and I can't tell you now whether it is or isn't, but I can tell you that there are really strong reasons to play either of them, so it's not just a case of the old one is better. But remember, this is when you defend. If you're playing a bunch of tough, you're going to get this every time. But you're not playing tough. You're playing bold, you're playing orange. Like I've said, you should expect to hit this. If you're playing both Dinobot Enigma and Dino Chomp as free-offs, and you've got 6 non-orange, non-white battle cards in your deck, that is going to hamper you slightly, but otherwise you should be fine here. And the thing is, it's basically giving 1 damage every time you're attacked. And then you can combine this with something like I Still Function, which is great in Dinobot decks, mostly incidentally because of the old Sludge, that lets you completely heal all of your Dinobots, and then it knocks it out. But if you brought it back with I Still Function, it doesn't really matter. So being able to bring something back with I Still Function, and then whacking this upgrade on it, could be kind of fun. What is very interesting is that in an old podcast, not even that old, a couple of the card designers were talking, and they were talking about the fact that when they're trying to design cards, somebody always wants to make a card, essentially spiked armor, that punishes the opponent for attacking. And they said that they were keen to try and make sure that that wasn't the case. I mean, if we move into Pokemon, we've got a card like Rocky Helmet, for instance. I mean, there's a whole bunch of cards like this, but Rocky Helmet's one example, whereby when you attack a Pokemon, you take damage. The difference is, in Pokemon, you do not have to attack, you can choose not to, whereas in the Transformers trading card game, you are forced to attack. Also, Pokemon, there's plenty of attacks that don't actually attack, they do something else, whereas in Transformers, every attack is a proper attack. And if we look at something like Keyforge, we could look at a creature like Briar Grubbling, whereby it's got Hazardous 5. When you attack it, you take 5 damage before the attack actually happens. This is something that comes up in a whole bunch of different trading card games, and it was something that Transformers themselves in interviews said they wanted to avoid. But here's the thing, this isn't just some lazy whack it on anything, take some damage. This is Dinobots only when you flip 2 orange icons. It introduces a nice amount of strategy into the game, because what it's essentially saying to you is, you can have this if you're playing a Dinobot deck, and if you build your Dinobot deck in a way to take advantage of it. It is a kind of card that will work beautifully for Dinobots, but it wouldn't work well if you were playing a more defensive-minded deck. There'll be turns you don't hit it, but generally you will hit it. And what is awesome here is that being an armor means that you're not taken away from Jaws of Steel, you're not taken away from Flamethrower. You are, however, taken away from Force Field, which you may want to play because it guarantees you can only take 4 damage while also giving you a white pip. But that, ladies and gentlemen, is a decision that you are going to have to make. The combination of orange pip and non-attack damage really does make me think this could fit nicely into a Dinobot deck. I'm going to be playing a lot of Dinobots when Wave 2 comes out. I'm going to be testing this card. Whether it will be great, whether it will end up fitting into any of my decks, I don't know. But anytime we get extra support for Dinobots, I become a rather happy chappy indeed. But ladies and gentlemen, I would very much like to know how happy this card makes you. Can you see it being played in Wave 1 Dinobots? Can you see it being played in Wave 2 Dinobots with Volcanicus? Or are you going to be playing a mixture of Wave 1 and Wave 2 Dinobots, but still without Volcanicus? Let me know in the comment section, ladies and gentlemen. Go nuts! But please do remember the most important rule as always. Be nice, would ya? Then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, and then follow me on Twitter at the Wossy, where we talk about Transformers, but we also talk about other games. But by far the most important thing as always is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wossy Plays.